In the beginning, there was the Word. The Word was with God and was God. That's what we have heard. Created light and sea and plants, animals, and the birds. And then fast forward down to the 26th verse of chapter 1, when God said, "Let us make man in our image." Created in his likeness. Oh, the excitement. He'd made things before, but nothing that was quite like this. Adam slipped up quick, and then came the indictment. Rebelled against God and cast out of the light then. Even in his judgment, God's grace was at work, sacrifice an innocent to clothe his children with shirts, and the pain of it hurt. They're now separate from God. They trusted not in his goodness, but a slithering fraud. And so begins the story of God showing his glory and his people causing harm that often ends up gory. Before we get to that, let me let you in on a secret. God made a promise and God intends to keep it. The one who cannot change, whose name's above all names, who always stays the same, who tames the wind and rain, told his man and his woman while they're sinning in the garden. The enemy's deceiving and he's coming in to harm them. But though he gets a shot, and that's not really a lot in the grand scheme of God, because the seed's coming to blot out the sins of his people. All things considered equal, we're the guilty, rotten scums, but he's crowned us, called us regal. The legal system could easily render something lethal, but that's not the end, because God wrote the sequel and God threaded the needle, made peace for his people. God and only God can put an end to all this evil. But how's he going to do it? Because none of us is good. No one seeks for God, even knowing that we should. We keep trying and trying. We're running in place. We keep trying and dying. We're such a disgrace. So how can we be right? What can we do? Well, he gave us some commands as simple as 1, 2.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's the 10 Commandments. It's the 10 Commandments.
Number 1, we should have no gods before him. We were made to worship, so come, let us adore him. Number 2, this one's similar to number 1. Don't make yourself an idol. God is second to none. Number 3, don't take his name in vain. Abide by these rules or it will lead you to pain. Number 4, I know you've heard this before. Rest on the 7th, take a break from all your chores.
My soul finds rest in God alone.
Number 5, show honor to your mom and your pops. It's pivotal when you're young, but that's not when this one stops. Number 6 through 9, don't kill, cheat, or steal. Don't bear false witness about your brother, keep it real. Number 10, though you may have lots of friends, don't be jealous of their house, their ends, or their bins. To want something that's not yours is to covet, but seek first his name. There's no name that's above it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
These rules are straightforward, no real complexity to it, but the big problem is none of us could ever do it. Corrupted by sin, our foolish hearts are darkened until the light comes to shine into our hearts. Give a new start and change us, save us, make us brand new. If someone could stand in our place, but who? Outside of the garden, life spiraled down quick. God's people were dead, deadly liars and sick. Our sin dragged us down and hung around our necks thick. We could never escape despite all of our tricks. In the midst of all our wildness, rebellion, and violence, God kept pursuing. We kept with our defiance. God loved us through it. We denied our reliance, and God responded back with 400 years of silence. Then, in the middle of a silent night, God ripped open the sky with a blinding light. A multitude of angels and a chorus of voices. He's coming, he's coming. The weary world rejoices. He's here, the seed that was promised of old. God's plan, long foretold, is about to unfold. 33 years on earth, he never got to grow old, but we're a part of his story and it's forever told. Jesus says, I'm here to bring rest for the weary, salvation and life to all of those who fear me. I know those of you who have ears will hear me. You've been far away, but I'm here, so come near me. So long you've been told you got to keep your distance, but I've come to break barriers of resistance. You've got a real enemy, powerful opposition, but remember, I'm crushing his head. I'm a finisher. All of his life was a march toward the cross. He fixed his eyes above and counted his life as lost, defeated the sin of the world and showed that he is the boss, and purchased life for dead sinners at a terrible cost.
Was crucified, died, and was buried.
That was on Friday. But Sunday was coming. After the Sabbath was a glorious dawn. They thought this was the last chapter, but the story goes on, because the tomb they sealed him into, it was empty and bare. They searched for Jesus' body, but Jesus was not there. He is risen, he is risen, he is risen indeed, and he's the first fruits, so we will follow his lead. This applies to you and me and all of those who believe, who have reached out to receive what we could never achieve. So feel free, lose your life and you will
Rise up,
because Christ gave his life. You will
rise up, rise up.
Rest in him with joy, because he's made us pure. Our life's now in him and our future's secure. In this life you'll have heartache, but please rest assured a day's coming soon when pain's gone, so endure. His dad sent him on a mission and he's bringing us home, but there's so many out there who are not of this fold. They gotta repent and believe to be saved, that's bold, but how they ever gonna hear it if they never get told? So take your beautiful feet and be sent where he'll send you. Don't worry about your life, it's not yours, it was lent you. This life costs your life, and every day the rent's due, but now you live forever with the Father like you're meant to. Before you met Christ, your life was ice cold. You wallowed in your sin and asked, how far will I go? Well, let me flip it on you now. How far would you go to get this good news to his people, cause the world doesn't know?